Hello, I'm Dr. Sherry Stewart. I'm the instructor for VS333 Domestic Animal Anatomy, and we'll be together hopefully for the next 15 to 16 weeks. The course itself is 15 weeks and followed by the finals week. Usually the final exam is on Wednesday for this course. I just wanted to use a few brief moments to introduce myself in person to you. I've been having trouble making a recording in quiet. Usually I'm in places that are very noisy, like out at the vet hospital. I am a veterinarian and I had my own practice. A long time ago, it was a small animal practice, but for the last 25 years, I've been teaching at the Veterinary Teaching Hospital in Colorado State University. I've taught anatomy, physiology, and histology for that period of time. For the last about 12 years, I've taught online histology and anatomy. So I have quite a bit of experience with the online environment, and I really find it interesting and challenging. I have found that for the most part, that I still am able to connect with students, and I hope that you will find me approachable both on the internet in terms of email, as well as if you would like to set up a Skype with me, I would be happy to do that as well. Just a bit about the course. It is completely online, including the laboratory component. So everything focuses really on these modules that are this week's content. So even though you would normally, with a 4-credit class that has a laboratory, you would have 3 lectures a week, what I do is I have 1 lecture. And it's a big lecture, the equivalent of about 3.5 lectures, probably about 4 lectures a week, because the 4th week of a unit will be a review week, and so I make up that time. But it's the equivalent of a 4-credit class, essentially. So the course is divided into 4 units, and there will be, each unit has an exam, and each is 4 weeks long. And each of those units has 3 weeks of lecture and 1 week of review/clinical cases, and then followed by that Friday, the exam. So essentially the 3rd week is a review week, and you don't have to do the clinical reviews. I'm not going to force you to become a veterinarian, but I use some clinical cases from my veterinary experience to try to pull together the content for you and to try to show you how form and function work in an applied method. There will be 2 to 3 bonus points from the clinical cases, so you can get extra credit for doing them, but you're not required to. If you're way behind, which hopefully you're not, by the 4th week of each unit, then you can just study that week and you don't have to do the clinical cases. So the course is driven by these, quote, modules or lectures, and you must do them online. They are narratives with lots of interactive photos and little embedded quizzes, and there will also be a list of objectives for the laboratory component. And then you have the option of going into Dr. Whalen's 3D dog, and there is now partially a 3D horse available. They are blow away fantastic. And then they're working on the cow. But there are old modules that I have embedded in the course for the labs, and you can use them as supplement when the fully developed dog, for instance, is available. But you can use them as a supplement to study if you just want some other way of looking at it. So you really have 2 laboratory opportunities. The required one is just to go through the list of objectives. Now you can use the 3D dog for that, or you can use my old, which you'll get bored with really quickly after you've done the 3D dog. I'll show you how to get into those in the syllabus. So for the cow, we don't have a 3D yet, and so we have to use my old laboratories for the cow. And the horse is only partially completed. We'll use it for the musculoskeletal system, but the organ systems, you'll have to use my old boring laboratories. There is also a required textbook called Veterinary Anatomy Coloring Book by Saunders. It's just a black and white. You can color the images, and it's inexpensively relative because it is paperback. It is divided into sections, so it doesn't follow my lectures particularly well, but I will refer to you to the sections that the content is covered in, and then I'll let you find the specific things you want within that section. If you have any questions, you're welcome to get a hold of me. The biggest sin of online courses, I think, from a student's perspective, is staying paced. you really do need to stay paced, and we do provide all kinds of pacing. We have live chats once a week. Once the course gets rolling, we'll have live reviews right before exams. So these will be used to pace you in the course, and I will send little pacers along the way too. Don't forget there's this exam coming up. So of course it's really paced by the exam. Otherwise, you really are kind of on your own up until the date of the exam. You must take the exams on the date they are listed in the course calendar and syllabus. I do not permit anybody to make makeup exams. You can take an exam early if you let me know well in advance. We'll let you take an exam early, but there will be no late exam. So you do need to be up and ready to go. I will take a doctor's excuse if it's a very critical situation, of course. So there are no additional assignments other than the 4 exams. They are all comprehensive. And so, I don't expect you to forget about the forelimb when we get down to the reproductive system. so each exam will have some kind of review. It'll focus on the more recent material, but it will have some review questions from previous material. So hopefully by the time you get to the end of the course, you've reviewed enough for each of the exams that it's not, this killer review for an entire course. I love teaching anatomy, and I really want you to at least have some fun learning anatomy. So let's try to make it so. This is an upper division science class, and it is a challenging course. I will not just ask you to identify some things. Of course, there will be some component of that. A lot of times I'll do things like combine concepts, like I might show you a picture of a nerve that I would expect you to recognize as the radial nerve, and I might show that indicated and say, stimulation of the nerve, this nerve causes what action at the elbow? So in order to do that, you need to know the muscles that it innervates. You need to know where those muscles are and what they do. And then, it's usually something like a flexion, extension kind of action that I would expect as the answer. So it's not all rote memorization. I am taping the lectures as well, not verbatim. I'm just doing a little scroll through, and will just highlight things that I think are really important. I will also try to pronounce most of the key terms so that you know what the real pronunciation is. And then I'll probably pause on areas where I have found out from past experience that they may be more difficult concepts, and it would be helpful to have a little bit of a review from me. However, if you cannot just use the voiceovers as your primary way of getting the material, the 2 ways to get the material that's required for this course are in the online lectures, which are written materials with lots of imaging, and the online laboratories, which have a list of objectives that you will find the things you need to know. Now, these courses are designed, particularly the 3D dog is designed for use for veterinary students. I don't expect you to know everything that's listed in that 3D program. So I provide a separate list of what I think you need to know, and then you'll just need to go to the program, and you can ignore things that aren't on my list and just look at the things that are on the list. So that's kind of how it works. It does work, and students have learned an amazing amount of material with this online environment. So don't be traumatized by it in some way, and don't feel like you're even missing out on a lot. The only difference from the undergrad class and this class really is that you actually get to touch the materials, but they're very much 3D when you're in this 3D course, this phenomenal 3D thing from Dr. Whalen. So let me know what you're thinking, and I would like ongoing and certainly feedback at the end of the class about suggestions you have. One of the reasons I like teaching online is I like kind of keeping up to date. I find that very challenging, and I love nothing better than to have a student say, well, in this other online class we did this, and wouldn't it be great if you did this, because it was a good experience. The crossword puzzles are a good example of that, which we recently added as an extra study supplement for you. So I hope to get to know you better, and I hope to see you in class soon.